So the latest episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Now, take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt, because I actually can't remember every single episode we've watched. There's been quite a few. But, to my knowledge, this episode was one of, if not my favourite episode of the series so far. Don't worry, I've got a little bit of evidence to prove my point. So, the first thing is, I'm taking this episode along with the last episode as well, because I thought this one and the one before were probably two of the best episodes we've had for a very long time. So all the BB stuff, it's all in the past now, don't give a shit about this, we're in. I'm going to call this like the final arc of the series. This is the whole, like, they're in the facility now, they're going to confront the professor and everything's going to go down soon, which it already has. So this episode is something that I was quite excited to see. So the last episode when we got to see Yuri dueling and revealing his true nature and what his goals were, that was a great step forward in the right direction for the show. And with this episode, we get to see Yuya versus Ruri, which was awesome. But the biggest thing that I liked about this was not just the duel, which I thought was really good. It was basically the stakes behind the duel, the emotion that was felt in the duel, as well as the fact that we got a new ability kind of thing, with Yuya being able to switch with Yuto. So let's just go back to the start of the episode. We learn that the parasite guy is of course an absolute freak, and we see him doing the bad touch on Yuzu in the next episode, but it's confirmed that he grows his own parasites and he infects people and puts them in their brains, and destroying the card, as we already know, it doesn't actually stop the whole mind control thing. So the only way to stop this is Kurosaki saying that, oh, we have to defeat that mad scientist guy. So that's kind of the goal at the moment. But we get Ruri appear, and she's being herself until the professor decides that, alright, it's time for you to attack Yuya. The battle ensues. And this fight, I thought, was really good. Because first things first, Yuya has the ability now, I guess, that he's able to sort of swap decks with the other counterparts that are living within him. And as well, since he was able to swap completely, it switched to Yuto, then that kind of means that some people thought that Yuto might have died before, and that was him absorbing his soul. But I just think, yeah, he absorbed him, and they're just two entities living within the same body. So I liked how the will of Yuto, because it was so strong, it was able to turn Yuya's deck into Yuto's. And the reason he did this was so that he could sort of trigger some memories within Ruri, because it is implied with the flashbacks that we got, Yuto and Ruri were kind of like a couple, or on the verge of being a couple, because you see them like get introduced where he's saying to, wow, that girl's pretty good, and Kurosaki's like, yeah, that's my sister. He's like, what? That was funny. But you see all those like little datey moments that they get. Yuto definitely has some real weight behind why he wants to save Ruri so much. And then they did the imagery really well with the flashbacks, where they had Yuto facing Ruri and they're kind of going against each other, and then it cut to them side by side talking as friends, and then it cut back to them battling each other. You can see their wills going against each other. That I thought was really good, and the way they did that was fantastic. And then later on, when they reveal that Yuzu 2 has been taken over by the mind control little parasites, Yuya begins to like sort of go into his rampage mode, which I was really excited to see. Yuto sort of calms him down and he's able to actually switch with him, which I wish they did this a little bit sooner in the series, because I think that could have made some really interesting situations where they're able to actually switch with each other. But I'm hoping they keep this, and I hope there's a bit more left of the series where they get to pull in like Yuri or something, so Yuri's a part of Yuya, and then they have to switch between all three during the final battle or something. I mean, that could be quite cool, right? But if you watch the preview for the next episode, then we know that Berserk mode hasn't ended just yet, because in the preview, we see Yuya going full-on Berserk. And it's implied that we get a new monster as well, which I think it's Odd Eye's Raging Dragon, so that'll be awesome to see on screen. And just one last thing to mention is that when Yuya showed the ability to switch with Yuto, the professor seemed genuinely surprised. He even got up out of his chair, for God's sake, and he was like, how can this be possible? So, yeah. We don't really see the professor talk too much, so to see him surprised like this was quite interesting. I still want to know what the goal of all this is. Is the professor as evil as we say he is? I don't think he is. But time will tell. So yeah, I'd like to know what you guys thought of this episode. What did you think of Yuya using Yuto's deck at the start of the episode, as well as Yuto making a comeback as well? Pretty awesome in my opinion. All of the Yuzu counterparts have all been taken over, so maybe in the next episode we'll get a Yugioh and someone versus Rin and Yuzu. That would be quite interesting. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Catch you later. Right then, guys, so recently I subscribed to Loot Crate. Specifically, I subscribed to Loot Anime. They specialise in sending Loot Anime related stuff, and I thought that I'd do an unboxing for you guys and show you the kind of stuff I got. Unfortunately, I'm in the future, so I've already opened it all, so I know what I get. This is what the box looks like after you've turned it inside out. It's kind of like a treasure chest, which we're going to see a treasure